Welcome back, everybody. We are now looking at the consequences of housing shortage, which actually is this lah, homelessness and slum and squatters. Okay, so these are the two consequences of housing shortage. Okay, but just now I just wanted to show you what housing shortage means, right? So we're gonna look at the consequences in detail. Hopefully we don't need 3 papers for this, but let's start with the consequences. Maybe I should write again. Housing shortage. Horrible handwriting. I mean, you can read it, can read, yeah? So we are gonna look at the consequences of housing shortage, which there is actually only 2. Okay, so one is homelessness. I put here. The other one is slums and squatters. Okay. So for homelessness, how is this a consequence? Okay, when people are homeless, they are going to be very stressed out. So there's no safe shelter. Safe shelter is gone. Therefore, they will have poor health because they are going to face skin infections, respiratory problem, stress. It's almost like the causes of the impacts of floods like that. Other illnesses. Okay, so that is all for homelessness. But slums and squatter settlements, that is the one that has a lot of things, okay, that we can group under 3 big categories. So the first one being pollution. Ding 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 ding. Then what kind of pollution do we have? 2 types of pollution. The first one is it's environmental pollution. So what kind of environmental pollution? The first one is the water pollution. Water pollution happens because of many things lah. So obviously you stay at the slum that is near the river, right? So the contaminants, sewage contaminants seep into groundwater and pollute water sources like wells. Okay, that is water pollution. Okay, likewise, let's just say that sometimes people also do their washing, garbage disposal at the rivers. Okay, so this same water, they will use it to bathe themselves. They throw their rubbish into the water, and then the water is contaminated, and then they use it to wash themselves, wash their clothes. That's why there's water pollution. Okay, next one is land pollution. So land pollution happens when there's a lack of garbage disposal. Okay, So they dump their garbage outside their homes. Nasty. They can also dump it or into open drains. Okay, so yeah, that's why there's pollution lah. Okay, the next impact is low level of health. Wow, I might not have space. Maybe I should boom it here. Low level of health. Okay, so why is there low level of health? Actually, if you see, the pollution is actually linked to the low level of health. So when you have improper disposal of garbage, it can cause clogged drains, and then it becomes a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And then another reason is because there is overcrowded conditions. Therefore, there is actually spread of disease. This will lead to spread of diseases. Okay. Just now I forgot to say the spread of diseases, right? For the water there. Okay, this is malaria and dengue. For water pollution, right, there is spread of diseases like cholera and dysentery. See, it's linked to floods one. Everything is linked together. Yeah. Okay, the last one is called, oh, there's actually space, vulnerability. Okay, and there is vulnerability to 3 things. The first thing is called fires, landslides, and the last one is eviction. Okay, so why is there a vulnerability to fires? It's because they are made of flammable materials lor, right? We learned that at the start. Why is there landslide? It's because they built on steep slopes lor. Why is there eviction? It's because they are built without permission lor. Okay, now the thing about this, about vulnerability, is it will cause, so when there's fires, it can cause death, right? Cause injuries and death. Then when there's landslide, also injuries and death. Then eviction will cause homelessness lah. Yeah. So basically, that's all we have for the consequences. Oh, I forgot to write that this is consequences, and I oop. Okay, so this entire area that we were doing, because I never label it, I will just put it as consequences. Oh my god, we are currently at the last part of housing shortage, which is the strategies. Okay, strategies. Upgrading. Okay, slum upgrading. I think one way in which, oh my goodness, I have to take a pause because it's a bit noisy. So for slum upgrading, the main thing that they want to do is they actually want to improve housing quality, as well as improve basic services. So these are the two things that they want to improve. And there are two ways in which it can happen. So one is whereby you clear error. This is supposed to be provide financial assistance, and then this one is relocate residents temporarily and clearing the site temporarily. Okay, so when you it's back. When you relocate residents temporarily, we are looking at a specific country. Now, specific country. I have to pause here and say specific country. We are talking about oh my god, there's no ink. We're looking at Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, whereby there's a partnership between Kenya and United Nations Habitat. It's not Unhabitat. Okay, so this is one of the partnerships that they have. Unhabitat. I cannot always laugh at Unhabitat. Okay, UN Habitat. So what happens in this special relocation thing is that they actually move slum residents temporarily to new housing units. With basic services. Okay, and then after which they move them, they will upgrade the vacated slum. So they move them to new places, and then they upgrade the slums for them, and then after the upgrading is done, residents return to their original homes when upgrading is completed. So that is under Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, remember Nairobi, Kenya. They have to relocate temporarily to a new site in order for their slums to be upgraded. Okay, so that is number one. Okay, there is also the other one whereby provide financial assistance. Hiya, sorry. Okay, so this one is on my Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's a better example. Okay, so they use this thing called self-help scheme. Self-help schemes. So what they do is, when you see the word self-help, it just means that you have to help yourself, right? So how do they help? Who do they help? Firstly, they help low income households. Okay, and how do they help? So instead of relocating them somewhere and then helping them to upgrade their own slums, what they do is the government, GOVT means government, provide assistance through things like providing construction materials, and providing the basic services. And then what happened is the residents built their own slums. No, they're not their own slums. Residents built their own homes. Okay, they upgrade their own homes. Okay, now there are some benefits and challenges to slum upgrading. Okay, so obviously when we look at it, right, for the self-help scheme, the good thing is that now they can improve living conditions, which is super good. However, some are reluctant to participate. Okay. They get a better home, a better shelter, train your residents to build houses. Yeah, so that's all. Ta-da! That is all for slum upgrading. I pause a bit to read. Okay, so the next one that we're gonna look at is called public housing. So just take up this space over here. I hope it's enough. Public housing. Okay, so when we look at public housing, we are looking at three main things. They must be reasonably priced, they are subsidized by government, and they are planned plus carried out by government. So that is what public housing is. So public housing can be done in this way. So you can either do it via all flat rented out at low price, abandoned buildings, converted for residential use, which if you see actually Singapore is doing this. All those schools that are not being used anymore, they allow the foreign workers to stay inside. Yeah. Or another way is you build new apartments. Okay. So you don't have to build your own house lah. You just buy a house that the government built for you, right? And that's how we get a house in Singapore. We go to HDB and apply for a 2-room, 3-room, 4-room or 5-room flat, which is readily built. Or for now, because there's a lot of people trying to buy a house, you probably have to wait 4 years or more for your house to be built. Okay, so that is what public housing is about. If you want to talk about an example, then obviously the example that we can talk about is Singapore, right? There are two lah. I will just write both for you since we are at this, in case you forgot about it. So when we talk about Singapore, we are talking about our HDB, Housing Development Board. Okay, so in case you didn't know, in the 1960s, to the 1970s, Singapore, there was actually a lot of slums and squatter settlements. Fun fact. Okay, so they set up HDB in 1960. Okay, so they built public housing. Okay, so public houses were built for Singaporeans. Now, how do we know what is happening? So in 2013, actually, you can say that more than 80% of SG population live in HDB flat. So it's a success. Ta-na-na-na. Yes. The other one is Brazil. So let me give you another one. Okay, Brazil one is not called HDB. Brazil one is called what's it called? Is it called My House, My Program? Yes. My House, My Program. So just now we got self-help scheme, then we have Nairobi, Kenya, then now we have Singapore HDB and Brazil My House, My Program. So many examples for housing. Yeah, so better study. So what they do is they provide affordable homes for middle and low income family. Okay, so I guess there is one you can talk about lah. Actually, there's another one which is there's so many actually. I will just write Carioca. I cannot read these. Carioca, like karaoke. Carioca project. This one is in Rio de Janeiro, my favorite place for housing because there's so many things that they do. Yep. So what they do is they built 2,240 apartments for 10,000 people. Yeah, and you actually need to get into the details when you're talking about your examples. Yeah. Basically, that's all for public housing. Yeah, then we can move on to the last one, which is kind of like the most important one for now. I think it's the most important one. Sorry. So there are three components of affordable housing. Not affordable housing, inclusive housing. I have to edit again. Oh my god, save me. This is difficult. Inclusive housing, possibly the most important one. Okay, so the three things include affordable housing, facilities, and amenities. And then there's a strong sense of place and belonging. In the belonging, so now when we talk about all this, there's a lot of things to look at. So obviously, when we talk about affordable housing, right, we are talking about how the houses suit the different type of people lah. Okay, so it is reasonable for people of different income groups. Right? So what do I mean by that? So if you are rich, you can stay in public. If you are normal, you stay in public housing. If you are rich, you stay in condo. If you are very rich, you are like crazy rich Asian, then you have private house. If you are crazy rich Asian, then you can have your private island that is not in Singapore. Yeah, that's all for that. And housing is made affordable via a few things. So there are financial schemes like CPF housing grant. I don't think it's just CPF housing grant. I think it should be additional CPF housing grant. Okay, in the year 2006. Okay, so you can also buy different types of houses. Okay, so just now I say there is public housing, condo, private house, right? So sometimes there is also, I guess you cannot see, oops, things like studio apartment or 3-room flat for smaller families. Okay, studio apartment is for elderly. Three-room flat is for smaller families. Yups. Now, when we talk about facilities and amenities, right? The few things that we are looking at let me also branch out. We look at our 3G playground. This is one of my favorite. So the 3G means 3 generation. So what are the 3 generation? We have our elderly, then they have their elderly corner. Then we have our adults, then they have their fitness corner. Then we have our children with their playground. Okay, super special. Now, besides that, right, we also have things like senior activity center. Okay, maybe I shouldn't group it this way. Maybe I can just write elderly. We also have our senior activity center. Then we have corridors that are 1.5 meter wide. So this one is to help the disabled. Then we also have the, what's that thing called railings for immobile. For support. And we also have ramps. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I can also write like even things like police post, community center, market. I'm just listing all the things down. Basketball court. These are all facilities and amenities. Yeah, there's just too many. Now, the last one that I want to talk about is the strong sense of place and belonging. So we are talking about two aspects. So we are talking about the feelings and the memories. Okay, so when we talk about feelings and memories, right? Feelings and memories, should it be written like that? Okay. So, actually I shouldn't say feelings and memories. I should say experiences and feelings. Okay. So experiences can be shaped by distinctive landscape. Okay. So we are looking at things like the Dragon Playground. We are looking at the dinosaur playground. So these are distinctive landmarks that you can remember in a place. So sometimes it could be even this one is in Toa Payoh, TPY. There's another one where we talk about the rounded balconies in Tiong Bahru. Okay, the thing about feelings, right, is that there are special memories. Correct. That happen at a place. So it could be, the first date that you have at East Coast Park. I really don't know. Yeah, or your first date at the staircase, something like that. So I guess that's all for inclusive housing. And we are done for the whole housing topic. Yay!